I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for coming today. The information I'm going to be giving you today is really, really important. Every single one of us, I'm sure we all want to have a comfortable retirement where we can do what we want, how we want, when we want. And the thing is you all have the ability to create genuine, enduring wealth for yourself if you handle your 401k plan here at Monarch Landing the right way. I'm serious. So I'm literally the right person to be talking to all of you, and here's why. So my name's Craig, by the way. You can see it up there. I'm a veteran. I spent many years in the U.S. Navy. I was a hospital corpsman on the Special Forces. I've been a business owner. I've been in the financial industry for over 10 years now. And as a younger person, I made a good living my entire life, but I did not have anybody educating me. I didn't have anybody teaching me the right way to go about handling my finances. And here's the thing. There's a lot of wrong ways for you to handle your money, but there's really only a couple of right ways to handle your money. And 401k plans are literally one of the biggest ways that most people in the workforce create enduring wealth for themselves. It's easy to do. All you need to do over the entire course of your working career is make contributions into that plan, and that plan will work for you on your behalf and be able to create wealth for yourself. So as a young person, like I said, I did not have somebody like myself teaching me how to go about doing it the right way, and as a result of that, I made a lot, what's going on with this? As a result of that, I made a lot of mistakes with my money, and I'm sure a lot of us can identify with that. Has anybody ever made mistakes with your money? Raise your hand.
Oh,
Yeah? 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 A few of us. Oh, for those of you who didn't raise your hand, you're all financial geniuses, right? Yeah. 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 You are. You are. Nobody else is. Anyway, so we've all made mistakes with our money. When it comes to planning for our financial future, it comes to planning for our retirement, if we can minimize or eliminate our mistakes, that is where it's really going to be beneficial to us. So when you invest through Principal and you utilize us through your 401k plan, we have ways in order to make sure that you all achieve that. So let's get into our talk today. We're going to talk about setting up your account. How many people have a 401k plan? Raise your hand if you have a 401k plan. Okay. Raise your hand if you're not going to raise your hand once this afternoon. So most of you do. Okay, so that's good. So we're going to show you how to set up your account. We're going to see if you're on track with your investments, and we're going to review what your options are when it comes to investing. So the first thing that you want to do, if you have not set up your account with Principal yet, I highly recommend doing this. You go to principal.com/welcome. What that will do is it will bring you to a welcome screen. You'll set up your username and password, and you'll have your 3 security questions. We all know what those are, right? What's your grandmother's maiden name, all that stuff. And then you're going to do 2-factor authentication, which is an extra step, but it's an extra layer of security for all of you, because cybersecurity is a huge, huge deal. Cybercrime is a very big problem. So it's an extra step, but it's all in your best interest. So you complete that enrollment form, boom, you're done. So let's talk a little bit about the benefits that you get here at Monarch Landing, because they're very generous. First of all, you get an automatic enrollment at 4% of your eligible pay. So that means you're automatically enrolled. They're going to take 4% out of your paycheck to put into your 401k plan. However, I just want you to realize this. It's still your money. It's coming out of your paycheck, yes, but it's going into an account that is going to literally be the money that you live on when you're no longer working. So we have to realize something. There is actually a retirement crisis happening in this country right now. 33% of people aged 65 and older, guess how much money they have saved for retirement? Less than $5,000. Yeah. This is a problem. This is a problem. If you have $5,000 saved and you retire and you think you're going to live on Social Security, guess what? You're going to be living in a trailer eating cat food, right? We don't want that. We want to be living in a place like this, don't we? In retirement, if we can. Most of us, anyway. Yeah, or live in your own place. So you've got to plan ahead for that. So let me ask you all a question. As it relates to retirement, what are some of your retirement goals? Don't be bashful. Blurt it out. What do you got? What do you want to do when you retire? Come on. Travel. That's a big one. That's what my wife and I, we want to travel. We want to live in the tropics during the winter. But in order to achieve those goals, you have to plan for them, and you have to save for them. What are some other goals that we have for retirement? Come on, don't be bashful. Oh, don't look at him. Move.
Move where it's warm.
Move where it's warm. Like
All
me.
the time.
We
All the time.
Okay, gotcha. Who wants to just be able to maintain their current lifestyle in retirement? A few of us, okay. So that's a really good goal to have. So traveling, being able to maintain your current lifestyle. A lot of people want to travel with their families. I've met people who take their kids and grandkids on trips and cruises, things like that. So anyway, contribute that 4%. Your eligible match is 50%. If you put 6% of your paycheck away, guess what? Monarch Landing is going to give you free money. Raise your hand if you like free money. Oh, you all better raise your hand on that one. We all I always say this. If you're walking down the street that way and you see a $100 bill blowing in the wind that way, are you chasing after it?
Yeah.
Let's all do this. Yes, we are. Because it's free money. It's the same thing here. If you put 6% of your paycheck away, you're going to get 3% of that free money deposited into your account. This is a very good thing, and this all goes towards funding your retirement. So vesting takes 4 years. I'll explain what vesting is. Vesting is when you have full control of the money that Monarch Landing gives you, okay? So in this case, it takes 4 years to achieve 100% vesting, but you get 25% every single year until you reach that 100%. So if you've been working here for 1 year and Monarch Landing is giving you $1,000 toward your retirement, that means you get to keep $250 of it, okay? You can do an automatic increase every January 1st if you want, up to 6%. You've got to be 21 years old to get into the plan with 3 months of service working here. You can enter the plan every 30 days. There's enrollment every 30 days to do this. If anybody has a plan from a previous employer, you can roll it over into this plan. If you like the way the plan works with Principal, and you like the results, and you like the ease of the way it works, you can roll your money over into the plan, and we're going to talk about that in a second. You can also enroll in a Roth account. Does anybody in the room know what a Roth is, or what the difference is between a Roth and a traditional? Okay, one of us does, 2 of us do. Let me explain for the rest of you who don't know the difference between a Roth and a traditional account. When you put your money into a traditional 401k account, that money is tax deferred, meaning you don't pay taxes on that money, which is a really good thing. So in a lot of cases, you might have a lot of expenses going on, and it makes more sense to keep more money in your pocket right now. Doing the traditional makes sense for most people, but a lot of people choose the Roth. Now, what's the difference? With the Roth, you pay your taxes up front. The government gets their tax money right away, and then any growth that you achieve on that account, you get to keep it all in retirement. With the traditional, you don't pay taxes right now. You get to have all of the growth during your entire working career. Then when you start taking money out in retirement, that's when it gets taxed. So literally the difference is between the Roth and the traditional is when the tax is, and it all depends on your situation. So a lot of people elect to do the Roth, but it's entirely dependent on your own individual financial situation. When it comes to Roths, a lot of times people who make very little money will elect to do the Roth. Because if you're making very little money, you're probably paying very little in taxes. So if you're paying no taxes or little taxes now, and you pay no taxes later, is that a good thing? Yes, it is. That's a very good thing. But in other situations, you might have a mortgage, you have kids, family, college, whatever, it might make more sense to do the traditional where you get to keep more money in your pocket right now. Also, you can do loans out of this plan. However, we don't recommend that. If you take a loan out of your 401k plan, that means that money is not invested and it loses its opportunity to grow over time. Not only that, you have to pay yourself back with interest, okay? So when it comes to taking a loan out of your retirement account, make sure that you've exhausted all of the other options that are out there before you do so. We don't recommend this. So enroll today. Go to principal.com, set up your account, elect your contribution amount, and you can choose your investments, or you can use the default plan, which is a target date fund. Who knows about target date funds in the room? Anybody? You do? Okay, one of us. All right, so How many people choose their own investments in their plan? Anybody? Nobody does. Oh, you do. Okay. Because you're a financial genius too, right?
No.
No? Okay.
I'm learning.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. So for those of you who are in the plan and you did not choose your own investments, that means you are in the default plan, which is a target date fund. And we're going to talk about that as we move on. Target date funds are very, very beneficial for those of you who use it. So we're going to see if we're on track. Take a look at this chart. This chart illustrates the compounding and exponential growth of money over time. We got two people, Diane and David. Now Diane, she's represented in this turquoise color. She starts putting 6% of her paycheck away into her plan right away from day one of her working. She puts 6% in, she does it for 30 years. Over those 30 years, she puts in about $150,000, but it grows to over $358,000. Pretty good, right? Now, David, on the other hand, he does the same contribution, but he waits 10 years to start. Take a look at the difference. He puts in almost as much as Diane did, but look at the difference in the savings. So I believe it was Benjamin Franklin who said that compound interest is one of the greatest inventions ever. The reason that you want to be a disciplined long-term investor, folks, is because when you engage in that behavior, the interest that you earn today is going to be earning interest on top of interest over the long term. The time value of money is a huge benefit. I see there's a lot of young people in the room. For those of you who are young in this room, you have a huge advantage over somebody like me. I just turned 63 on Monday. What you have that I don't have is what? Time. Yeah. The time value of money is huge. The more that you can invest when you're younger and keep it invested, the more opportunity that you have for that money to grow over time. Has anybody ever heard of the rule of 72s? Anybody? So the rule of 72s, bankers use this a lot. It states that every 72 months, on average, your money should double. But let's be conservative. Let's say it doubles every 10 years. For those of you who are in your 20s, your money is going to double conservatively 4 or 5 times by the time you retire. So I'm looking at some young guys over here. Every dollar that you save today, that you saved and you keep invested until you retire, that dollar you save today could be worth $4, $5, $6, $7 by the time you retire. Now let's talk about it being real money. Let's not make it $1, let's make it $100,000. Let's make it $500,000. This is what I'm talking about, folks. This is what people don't realize about investing. Disciplined long-term investing in your 401k plan is literally one of the best ways to achieve real wealth for yourself. Have we all heard of the word day traders? We all know what day traders are, right? These are people who are jumping in and out of the markets, trying to time the market, trying to figure out what the next big thing is in the market. You can't do it. It's impossible. Nobody knows what the market's going to do. Study after study after study have all shown that disciplined long-term investors are by far more successful than those who are trying to time the market and jumping in and out of the markets. So it's really important to understand that your 401k plan offers you the exact way that you can do that. All right, let's move on. Let's say this is just an example to augment what I just talked about. This person is putting 3% of their paycheck away, being matched with 3% by their employer. Look what it grows to, almost $240,000. Here's another thing. Like I said earlier, if you elect to use your traditional account, you are not being taxed on that money that you're saving. This is a really, really great benefit. So I'm not going to go through this whole chart, but basically the gist of it is if you make a contribution of $80.77, it's really only costing you $60. That's a good thing. And remember, the money you're putting into your retirement account, it's still your money. You're just investing in yourself. You're investing in the future that you see for yourself, for you and your loved ones. All right, let's move on. If you decide that you want to increase the amount of contributions that you make, it oftentimes represents a very, very small portion of your paycheck. So take a look at this chart. Let's say, I don't know what you all make here, but let's go right in the middle and say you're all making $60,000. Some of you might be like, yes, I wish I did. Some people might be like, oh, thank God I don't. Anyway, If you're making $60,000 a year and you're putting 4% of your paycheck away, that means right now it's costing you $69 every single paycheck. Well, what if you bumped it up to 6%? That literally only cost you about another $45 a paycheck. That's nothing. Nothing. If you decide you want to put more away in, even better. The more that you can sacrifice now, the better your future is going to look. In the short term, increasing the amount of money that you're saving really doesn't impact your paycheck that much. So my goal for everybody in this room is that 30 or 40 years from now, or 10 or 20 years from now, I want you all to say, thank goodness I listened to Craig and I increased my contributions, because my financial future looks a lot stronger and brighter than it would have if I hadn't. How much do you potentially need to save for retirement? Well, financial companies across the country, they all recommend that you save at least 10% of your paycheck into your retirement plan. If you can manage to save 10% of your paycheck, the chances are very good that you'll be able to maintain your current lifestyle in retirement. 10%, that's the number that we all want to go for. Now, I'm big on telling personal stories. When I started with Principal, I just started with Principal in April. I've been doing this for a long time with other companies. Started with Principal in April. I started off my contribution at 25% of my paycheck because I have goals. There's things I want to do. Now, here's another question. What has the market been doing lately? It's been volatile, hasn't it? Lots of ups and downs, right? So after the election yesterday, last time I checked, the markets were up 1,000 points today. Nobody knows what the market is going to do. Nobody knows when the market's going to peak. Nobody knows when the market's going to bottom out. But with the market being down overall right now, what does that opportunity offer you? When the markets are down and you're a disciplined long-term investor, what does that represent to all of you?
A sale.
What is that?
You get the stocks cheaper right now.
That's right. And what's your name?
Kim.
Kim wins the Big Brain Award today. When the markets are down and you're a disciplined long-term investor, you should be excited. Why? Because you get to buy assets on sale for your portfolio. Most people, when the markets are down, what do? They sell. Why do they sell? Why do they sell, folks? Because they're terrified of the markets, right? Oh my gosh, I don't want to lose any money, I got to get out. No. If you're a disciplined long-term investor and the markets are down, guess what? You're excited. You're excited because here is the most important piece of information I'm going to give every single one of you today. Since 1926, going back almost a century, the markets have offered, on average, 10% growth every single year, and that includes losses during recessions, depressions, and market downturns. Think about that. If you can average 10% returns for your entire working career, how successful do you think you could be as an investor? Pretty darn successful, right? So most people, when the markets go down, what are they doing? They're panicking and they're selling. And the only thing they're accomplishing in doing so is they're locking in their losses. We don't want to do that. That's bad behavior. That's literally what I said earlier. Do not be jumping in and out of the markets. Disciplined long-term investors are by far the more successful investors. All right, let's move on. We want to review your investment options. So let's talk about the different types of things that you need to know. This might be a refresher for some of you. This might be new information for some of you, but you all need to listen to this very carefully. We're going to talk first about diversification. Who's heard of the word diversification before? Raise your hand. Really? Only a few of us? All right, well, I'm glad we're talking about this. So diversification is simply the old eggs in a basket theory. If you've got a dozen eggs and you put them in one basket, you put them in the big green bucket, and you drop that bucket, what happens to all the eggs? They're all ruined, right? But if you have a dozen eggs and you split them up into 5 buckets and you drop one of the buckets, you've still got eggs left over. That's diversification. We want to be highly diversified. So for those of you who are using your default plan here at work, which is most of you, your plan is highly, highly diversified. You all literally own thousands and thousands of different stocks. This is what diversification is. You want to own a wide array of assets because it protects you from market fluctuations. All right? So that's diversification. Let's move on and talk now about rebalancing. Who's heard of rebalancing before? One of us. All right. I'm glad we're having this talk. Oh, you did too, sir?
Yeah, I've heard of balance before, yeah.
Rebalancing. Okay, so let's take a look at this. This chart represents a simply diversified portfolio. We've got 50% in bonds and 50% in stocks. Now, over time, what's going to grow faster, bonds or stocks? Stocks, of course, stocks, okay? So over time, your portfolio may experience what we call drift, and you become overweighted in stocks versus bonds. You've got 75% of your portfolio that's invested in stocks because it's experienced a lot of growth. So what you want to do is you want to rebalance that portfolio, meaning you're going to sell off what's doing really well, and you're going to buy what isn't doing well. Now, does that make sense to anybody? Why would I want to sell what's doing good and buy what's doing bad? That's kind of like counterintuitive, right?
Right.
Well, it's not. Because here's what's happening. When your stocks are doing well and you sell off a portion of them, what are you really doing?
Investing.
You're taking profits. What is the number one reason we invest? There's only one reason. To make money. That's it. So when your portfolio is out of balance and you sell off a portion of those, you're taking profits for yourself. Do we like this idea? Let's all do this.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. And then that money is going to be reallocated into the assets that may not be doing so well today. But here's the thing we need to realize. The assets that are doing well today may not be the assets that are doing well in a year or two. Whereas the assets that aren't doing so well today, they might be the best assets in a couple of years. So does anybody follow crypto? Crypto coins? Bitcoin? Anything like that? Good. You do? So just about a year ago, Bitcoin was like at $65,000 per coin. You know what it was as of yesterday? 16,000. 16,000. So a couple of years ago, that was a hot investment. Today, people who bought at the top of the market and they're only investing in that, they're looking at some serious regret for themselves. We want to be able to rebalance. And here's the thing. When you're rebalancing the right way, here's what you're doing. You are buying low and selling high, right? And you're also selling high and buying low. So for the rest of your working career, if you can buy low and sell high and buy low every time you rebalance, do you think you can be pretty successful with your investing? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely you can. In your default plan, in your target date fund, it does it automatically for you. There's literally an army of financial professionals. If we could all turn off our cell phones and stuff, that'd be great. When you've got an army of financial professionals looking at this for you and doing it on your behalf, you don't have to worry about it. The only thing that you need to do is put money into that plan every time you get a paycheck. If you're doing that, all of the heavy lifting is being done for you on your behalf. You don't have to worry about it. It's done for you. All right, let's move on. Now let's talk about the cycle of investor emotions, because this is also huge. We're human beings and we're emotional creatures and we are subject to our emotions. And here's the thing. I've actually helped edit books on behavioral finance. It's a fascinating subject. If anybody wants to learn something really, really cool, study behavioral finance. And here's the reason why. Every single person in this room, every one of us, me included, our brains are hardwired for us to make terrible decisions with our money. All of us. And the reason is because we're emotional creatures, like I said. But we also have to realize we're creatures of habit. Every single one of us, we all have instincts. We all have instincts that are programmed into our brains. We're still mammals, right? And here's how this works. There have been studies done. Has anybody heard of deja vu? We all know what deja vu is, right? Yeah, we know what that is. So this is actually a real thing. Experiences that our ancestors have had throughout the ages can actually get programmed into our DNA. This is scientific truth. We know this to be true. So think about this. If you've got an animal at home, let's say you've got a cat that's afraid of the ceiling fan, why are they afraid of that? Because one of their ancestors way back when was attacked by something from overhead, and it remains in their brain. Animals have instincts, and so do humans. We tend to forget that. We have to realize, as a modern society, how long has modern society actually existed, folks? Not very long, right?
No.
Think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, the Industrial Revolution happened in the early 1900s, and before that, how were we living? I mean, we didn't have central air, we didn't have heat, we didn't have any of that kind of stuff. We literally are only a couple hundred years into modern society. But human beings have been around for ages. So let's think about this for a second. Let's say, for instance, I've got my aunt. So Natalie is my aunt from millennia's past. And no, you're my uncle. You're going to be my uncle. So Natalie's my uncle. My great-great-grandfather from a millennia ago, they're out hunting because we were hunter-gatherers, right? So we go out hunting for our tribe's food, and off in the distance, we see this bush rustling. Now, my uncle over here thinks, that's dinner. I'm going to go after that. Me, on the other hand, my grandfather, he's like, no, I don't think I trust that. I'm going to stay back here. So my uncle goes running off toward the bush. What do you think happens to him? It becomes dinner for a saber-toothed cat, right? But my great-grandfather, he runs away. That experience is in his brain. So the thing we have to realize is we are all subject to our fight or flight instincts. And it's exactly the way that works when it comes to investing in finances. When we see the markets going down and having volatility, we have that fear. And that fight or flight instinct comes in. And when that instinct comes in, it can cause us to make terrible decisions. So here's how it goes. When the market is going up, people are like, oh, great, market's doing well, I want to get in. But when the market is going up, what are you doing? You're buying at a premium, aren't you? You're buying when prices are going up. Then inevitably what happens with the markets, because we live in a cyclical economy, markets go up and down, right? When the market starts going down, people start getting nervous. Oh, you know what, I think I'll stay with this. And then when the market hits the bottom, that's when they're like, oh no, I'm done. I can't handle this anymore. And they sell, they get out. And the only thing they did by doing so is what? They locked in their losses. So we need to be able to overcome our emotions and the way we think and the way our brains are wired. We also want to be able to monitor our investment choices by discovering exactly what type of investor we are. We all have different risk tolerances. So here's something we need to realize. This chart shows the different types of investments that are out there. There's low risk investments and there's higher risk investments. But we all have to realize there's a direct correlation between the risk you're willing to take and the returns that you get. So if you look at this chart and you look at purple and blue, those short-term fixed income investments like bank CDs or bonds or things like that, they have very low returns, but there's a correlation with low risk. So low risk equals lower returns. When you invest in the market, yes, it's riskier, yes, it's more volatile, but it offers you more opportunity for growth. So you need to determine what type of investor you are, and you can take an investor profile quiz right on our site. Right on our site, and find out what kind of investor you are. Some people find out that they're more aggressive. Other people find out they're more conservative. It's 8 questions, and principal will tell you what kind of investor you are. All right, there's our disclaimer I have to show you. Did you all read it? Okay, good, I'm moving on. All right, now we're going to talk about your target date funds and show you how those work, all right? So take a look at this chart. Up in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see a 2035 target date fund. So this means that this person is going to be retiring right about the year 2035, and it invests accordingly. So if you're going to retire in the year 2035, you're going to have a lot more investments and safer investments like bonds and cash instruments. But go down to the bottom left, 2065. This person's going to retire in the year 2065, and you'll notice there's much more asset allocation in stocks, represented in blue, versus what's invested in bonds, which is very, very little. Over time, your target date fund will reallocate your money on your behalf. You don't have to do it. It's done automatically. So by looking at this chart, you can see somebody on the left-hand side, they've got a 50-year timeline. They start working at age 20, they're going to retire at age 70. They are highly invested in the stock market. Then you can see as the chart progresses at year 25, that's when the asset allocation starts to change and starts cycling into investments like bonds. And by the time this person retires at age 65, you can see there's a lot more safe investments than riskier investments. Because when you start off investing, it's about growing your wealth. That's why you're going to be invested more in stocks. Then as you get closer to retirement, then it becomes more about preserving your wealth, and that's why it cycles you into those safer investments. You don't have to do anything. It's done automatically for you. So you get a broad asset allocation, you're going to own thousands of different stocks, managed by an army of financial professionals looking out for you. They want you to do well. You know why? Because if you do well, they do well. And then it automatically rebalances over time, which is also a big part of what it takes to be successful with your investing. You have to be able to take those profits and those buying opportunities. That's what these target date funds do for you. Target date fund, this is just another chart that basically shows how it works. When you're a younger investor, you should be taking more risk with your investing. As you get closer to retirement, you want to cycle into safer investments. So, that diversified approach, you're going to have a variety of different asset classes, and people are looking out for you in that plan. There's another disclaimer. Did you all read it? Okay, good. Let's move on. Okay. You also want to designate a beneficiary. How many people have named a beneficiary so God forbid something happened to you? Oh, well, that's a problem. Only half of you. All right, so on the site, I'm going to show you how to do this in a minute. You can designate a beneficiary. Now, why is this important?
I'll be
Because
the beneficiary.
What's that?
I'll be the beneficiary.
Okay, all right, great. So, if you die, God forbid, and you don't have a named beneficiary on your plan, guess who's making decisions about where your money goes? The government. Would you rather make your own decision or have the government do it? This is like the biggest no-brainer in the history of Earth, right? You want to name your own beneficiary. It's easy to do. I'll show you how to do it. I'm going to do a web demo here in a minute. Principal.com/beneficiary. That's where you do it. I'll show you in a minute how it goes. You can also do rollovers. If you've got a rollover from a previous job, like I said earlier, and you want to roll it into this plan, you can do so. It's easy, and I'll show you how to do it. When you do a rollover, there's a few options that you all have. First of all, you can consolidate into your principal plan. A lot of people like doing this because that way they have control. They can see everything in one place. This is a good thing. You can also roll it into an IRA. That's an individual retirement arrangement. That's another way that you can save for the future and get tax benefits. If you have questions about IRAs, I'll be here afterwards. You can ask me about that. You can keep your funds in your previous employer's account. A lot of people do this. Oftentimes, it's a bad idea. So, like I said earlier, I'm big on telling stories, so I'm going to tell you a story. I've got an acquaintance. He was a manager at a McDonald's. And in the year about 2010 or so, he quit his job at McDonald's, went to a new job. But he left his retirement account, his 401k plan, at this McDonald's franchise. So a couple years after he quit, this McDonald's franchise, they sent him a note and said, hey, we're switching plan providers. Therefore, you need to pick out your new investment selections. Well, he forgot about it. He didn't do it. So all through the 2010s, when the markets were skyrocketing, he thought he was invested in the markets. But since he hadn't picked out his new investments with this new plan, they took that money and they put it into a money market. What do bank accounts pay these days, folks? You're laughing, you know, right? He thought he was making 10%. He was making 0.25%. He lost control of his previous investment because he forgot about it, he procrastinated, and he didn't do what was necessary. When you roll over into a single plan, that allows you to see all of your financial pieces in one place, and oftentimes that's the best way to go about doing this. All right? Rolling over is easy. Go to principal.com/simplify. I'll show you how to do it on the web demo that I'm going to do here in a minute. All right, so another thing that we offer is principal milestones. There are some things that you all have at your disposal free of charge because you're a principal participant. There's ways for you to create a will for yourself for free and get financial education for free. I'm going to show you that in a minute. Another disclaimer, did you all read it yet? Okay, good. Plan for retirement. These are all of the things that Principal offers you. They're all terrific, and I'm going to show you a lot of this here in a minute. If you want to connect with us on social media through the internet, this is the way you do it. If you have questions, you can do it there as well. All right, folks, thanks for your attention. I hope you learned something. Now I'm going to switch over and we're going to do my web demo. I want to show you how our web works. So let me just get out of this. All right. So I actually have to be over here because I have to advance this on my computer. So when you log into your account, for those of you who have set up your Principal account, when you log in on your computer, this is going to be your landing page. This is what you're going to see. Now, as you look at this, you can see across the very top. Let me see if my clicker has that. I think my clicker has a laser. Hold on for a second. I have a laser. Maybe do I? There it is. Okay. So there's my laser. So right across the top, this is your menu bar. These are all of the resources that you have through your plan. Anything that we're looking at is going to be highlighted in blue underneath, okay? So this amount on the top, this shows your account value. If you're fully vested, these numbers will be the same. If you're not fully vested, they'll be different. If you've taken out a loan, you'll see what the balance is. You'll see what your yearly rate of return is, not concurrent. This is not cumulative. This is for the year. It will also show you what your most recent deposit was into your account. And as they go down further, let me go down further. Oh, what happened? Oh, hold on. Sorry about that. How did I get out of that? Sorry. Okay. All right, now I'm back. Sorry about that, folks. All right. You also, as you scroll down, you can see what your current salary is and your desired retirement age. There's a little pencil icon on the side. If your salary changes, you can click the pencil button and that allows you to edit it. If you decide that you want to work longer than age 65 or younger, you can change that there as well. So that's something to consider as well. On the right side here, right over here, this is also very important. We use a simple red, yellow, and green light analogy when it comes to what your retirement preparedness is. So if you're in the green, that's Principal saying, hey, great job, keep up the good work. If you're yellow, that's Principal saying, you know what, you're doing some stuff pretty well, but we could probably improve. If you're in the red, that's hard stop. We need to reevaluate what you're doing. Now, in this particular instance, we also see this number here, 62%. That number represents the amount of your current income that you will replace in retirement. So if you're making $100,000 a year, you're on track to replace $62,000. So you really want that number to be up. Actually, we want this number to be a minimum of 70%. That's what we want. If you put 10% of your paycheck away every time you get a check, you're going to be well on your way to achieving that 70%. Here's another thing. It'll show you what we anticipate you're going to need in retirement, what you're going to have based on what you currently are doing, and what you are short. In this instance, $800. Now, let's take a look at this. I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and we're going to go to this slider here. And we're going to adjust this up to that 10% we were talking about. Look what happens to our chart. Look what happens. We're saving 10% of our paycheck, but now instead of having an $800 shortfall, now we have a surplus of money. This is a good thing, folks. This is a good thing. A lot of people think that when they retire, they're going to spend less money. No. A lot of people, when they retire, what really happens? They spend more money because they've got all this time on their hands and they need to fill it up doing something. So financial planning isn't just about your investments, it's also about having flexibility. The more flexibility that you can have with the money that you're working with and that you're saving, the better off you're going to be in retirement. All right, let's move on because I want to show you this. Watch my cursor. I'm going to click on right here, Retirement Wellness Planner. This is a very fantastic tool that I want everybody to be aware of and how to use it, okay? So let me scroll down here. Now in this particular situation, we've got a person putting 3% of their money into a traditional and another 2% into a Roth for a total of 5%, all right? On the right side, you see a chart. That shows the growth of that money over a working career. It shows when the person's going to retire at age 65 and how that money draws down over time in retirement. Now, I want to say this. This chart is only as smart as the information that you put into it, and I'm going to show you how to put all of your financial information in here. You all need to do this. It's really, really easy to do. Now, let's just do something. I'm going to use these sliders here, and I'm going to take us right up to that 10% level that we were talking about, 5% in each plan. Now, what do you notice about that chart? That chart, now it shows the accumulation phase of that money. Those last years of investing, you can see that money taking off like a rocket ship. That disciplined long-term investing, that's when compound takes effect, and that's when your money really starts growing. This person is still going to retire at age 65, but instead of that money running out at age 84, now it lasts all the way out to age 91. Just by making that small difference in contributions, you've got a lot more money to work with in retirement. Now, this is where it's really important to understand, folks. The average lifespan of a man in this country, as of today, is just over the age of 84, if you're a man. If you're a woman, your average life expectancy is over 87. You've got a lot longer to plan for retirement than people used to have. When Social Security was first instituted back in the early 1940s, what was the average lifespan of people in this country? It's like 65 years old. So Social Security was designed to make sure that people had money in the last couple of years of their life. But that's not the case anymore. The average lifespan for a woman is 87. That means 50% of women are going to live longer than that. Think about this. That's what you have to plan for. Here's a story. I want to tell you a story. Social Security. It was instituted way back in 1940. The very first Social Security recipient was a woman named Ida Mae Fuller. Has anybody ever heard of Ida Mae Fuller? Does that name ring a bell to anybody? Okay. So Ida Mae Fuller was a legal secretary up in New Hampshire. And she contributed a total of $24.75 into Social Security. She retired. She was the first person to get a Social Security check. Ida Mae Fuller lived to age 100. She collected $25,000 from Social Security. She put $25 in. She got $25,000 out. Social Security was broken from the very first day. Right? So we have to plan ahead. We have to realize we're living longer. Social Security is probably going to have some changes. For those of you who are younger, you might have to wait longer to get your benefit, and you may get less. That's why it's imperative for every single one of us to save for our future. Women, ladies in the room, you have a bigger problem than men do. Why is that? Why do women have to plan harder for retirement than men do? Anybody know? Okay, I'll tell you. Because women are giving birth. They're giving birth, they're out of the workforce. Women raise families. If you're raising a family, you're out of the workforce. Who takes care of aging relatives and parents? More. Men or women? Who does it? Women usually do it. So if you're out of the workforce to take care of aging parents, are you working? Are you contributing to Social Security? Are you putting money into your 401k plan? Probably not. So not only are you living longer, you're probably not contributing as much to the systems that are designed to take care of you in retirement. This is also very important stuff to understand. Now I want to show you something else. Let's move down. Remember I told you it's only as smart as the information you put in? Well, guess what? You can add all of your external accounts right in here. Social Security, outside investments, enter those there. If you've got other principal accounts, enter them here. Household inputs, any type of savings, life policies, spousal financial information, put it all in there, and that all makes a huge difference in the way this chart will look to all of you. Our site has been rated at 97% user favorability. It's really easy to use. go in and play around with it, see what's available to you. Now let me move on. I want to show you something else. We're going to go up to our menu bar and we're going to click on contributions and we're going to go down to manage contributions. This is a really valuable tool. So let me scroll down a little bit here. Now remember earlier we talked about how everybody needs to save about 10% of their paycheck in order to maintain their current lifestyle in retirement? Okay. So in this particular example, this person is putting, let me find my laser. Okay. This person is putting 5% of their paycheck away. They know they need to get to 10%, but right now they can't make the jump from 5 to 10. Just too much of a hit on their paycheck. So here's what you can do. You can tell the site, I want to bump my contribution up by 1% every January 1st, and I want it to plateau at 10%. You can do it automatically. You'll never even miss it. By the way, this number, you can make it 2%, 3%, 4%. You can make it anytime you want. You can have any date, and you can cap it at any percentage you want. This is all good stuff, folks. It does it automatically. You'll never even miss it. So if you get a 2 or 3% paycheck every single year, take 1% of it and save it for your future. Keep the rest for yourself, but put some away for your future. This is a really good thing. So once you do that, you basically hit this blue button, review and submit changes. If you're okay with it and you hit submit, you're done. It's going to be done automatically for you every single year. This is a really great benefit. All right, let me move on. We talked about rollovers earlier. I'm going to click on rollovers. Boom. When you hit the rollover tab, it brings you to rollovers. Easy to do, folks. If you have a rollover to do, click on the Start Your Rollover button right here. It'll walk you through the process. If you run into a snag, you call this 800 number. There's an army of financial professionals. We have like 5 or 6 dozen folks ready and waiting to take your phone call. So if you want to do a rollover, some companies are a little bit more persnickety with this stuff, and you need a hand, call the 800 number. They'll help walk you through the whole process. Almost done. Let me move on to the last thing. Let's go over to planning resources. When you click on that, I'm going to scroll down to principal milestones. This is what I was talking to you about earlier. We partner with a couple of different companies. One of them is called ARAG. It's a legal documents company. And we partner with another company called Enrich, which is a financial education company. So let's click on the ARAG tab here, and I'm going to show you this. So the ARAG tab, when you create an account with ARAG, this is all free to you. How many people in the room have a will? Raise your hand if you have a will. Very few of us. Okay, here's another thing. If you don't have a will and you pass away, who's making decisions about all your stuff?
Your government.
The government. Do you like that idea?
Hell
No, nobody likes that idea. Make your own decision. If you do not have a will, you can create a will for yourself for free through ARAG. You can do it for yourself and your spouse. It doesn't cost you anything. If you go to see an attorney here in Wheaton, what's it going to cost you? Or in Naperville, it's going to cost you $300-400 to do it. With ARAG, it's free. It takes a half hour. Do it. Once you're done, it'll walk you through the process. And when you're done, you print it out, you get it notarized, boom, you've got a will. Plus, there's all kinds of other legal documents that you can have done for yourself for free. This is a great benefit of being a participant with Principal. Let me go back. I want to show you something else. Now we're going to click on Explore Enrich Resources. Enrich Resources is a financial education company. Now, I'm not going to be out at this facility often. Hopefully I get invited back. Natalie, you going to have me back? Natalie wants me to come back. Okay, good. That's a good thing. I like that. All right, but I'm not always going to be available. Does anybody in the room have a financial advisor? Does anybody have an advisor? Nobody's got an advisor. Okay. So if you don't have somebody to talk to about the right things to do with your money and you have questions, this is available to you for free. Anything that has a $sign attached to it, you can learn about with Enrich. So check this out. We have got different topics you can learn about. You can take different courses, and we have different financial tools. So let's click on topics first. Remember earlier I talked to you about learning about behavioral finance? Well, guess what? If you click on this behavioral finance tab, you can learn all about behavioral finance. It's a fascinating subject when you realize how your brain really works when it comes to money. But any of those subjects you want to learn about, click on the tile. Boom, you're going to learn about it. If you want to take courses, take a look at this. If you want to take courses, we've got an entire video library of different courses that you can learn about. You want to learn about budgeting, healthcare, banking, financial plans. It's all there. It doesn't take a long time. Some of these courses, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 35 minutes. Easy to do. It's all available to you. Let me scroll up. I want to show you something else. Tools. This is an awesome, awesome thing that's all available to you. So let me scroll down a little bit so you see these things. These are all tools that you can use in your overall financial planning. You want to learn about your own money personality? Click on the tile. You want to learn about how to budget? You want to learn about buying a home or leasing a car, whatever it is. My favorite one is this one, scholarship search. How many people have kids or grandkids going to college? Raise your hand. Okay. If you've got a kid or a grandkid going to college, do you want them to get a scholarship?
Oh, yeah.
Why is that?
It's free.
Free money, exactly. So here's the thing. A lot of people, when it comes to scholarships, you don't know where to look for a scholarship. You don't know what's available. Well, this Enrich site is a clearinghouse for all of the scholarships available in the United States. There's like 14,000 different scholarships that you can look at. So let's click on this. I want to show you something. When you click on scholarship search, here's what you're going to find. You can scroll through and see the different scholarships. You can refine your search. If you look on the left, it says refined by. You can refine your search down, or you can just scroll through some of the scholarships that are available. I had no idea that the John Lennon Foundation offered $20,000 scholarships. I had no idea. There's scholarships for PGA golf management. There's scholarships for learning how to play jazz. It's all there. But you're not going to know what's available unless you go to the plan. One last thing I want to show you before I conclude. Let me go back. All right, remember earlier I told you about beneficiaries? It's easy to do. So take a look at this. Underneath the overview, when you click on overview, the second drop down is beneficiaries. Okay? So for those of you who do not have a named beneficiary, this is important. If you're married, your spouse is going to be your primary. But you can also add contingents. Folks, it takes 10 minutes. If you have not named your beneficiaries, do it. We don't know what tomorrow holds. God forbid something happens to us tomorrow and we're not here anymore. We want to make sure that we've made these decisions for our loved ones. Now here's a story I want to tell you. Big on town, like I said, I'm big on town stories. My mother-in-law, she met this guy. He was a professor at a college in Chicago. So she was like 60, he was like 65. Swept her off her feet. Told my mother-in-law, you're going to live in a mansion. You're going to have a maid. You're not going to want for anything. Heck, I wanted to marry this guy. So she was with this guy for 2 years. For the last year and a half of his life, she was changing his diaper. She was taking care of all of his meals, his medicine, taking care of him. And when he died 2 years later, guess who got all of his assets? His ex-wife. Because he never updated his beneficiaries. Does this sound familiar to anybody? You want to make sure if anything has changed in your life that you change your beneficiaries. You want to make sure that you're doing everything right. Remember I told you earlier, financial planning isn't just about growing your money. It's about making sure you're doing things right and you have flexibility with your finances. So folks, that concludes my presentation. You guys have been awesome. And next time I come here, I expect you all to be on time, by the way. Okay? So right now, if anybody has any questions, please feel free, and I'll do my best to answer it. If I can't answer it, I'll get the answer for you later on. Okay? So does anybody have any questions? Don't be bashful. Now's your chance. All right. If you're bashful, I'll be here for another 10 minutes. You can ask me questions one-on-one. Okay? Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate your attention. I hope you got a lot out of this. Oh, one last thing. If you get a survey from Principal, please tell them what you thought. If you hated me, you can tell them. It's okay. But if you loved me, show me the love. Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. Bye now. Thank you.